I want to start off by reviewing this ceramic palette that I've got because I love it. So compared to plastic palettes, which is what I started on, I much prefer to work on a ceramic palette, and there's a few reasons for that. In particular, I love this ceramic palette because it's got 17 wells in it, so it's got 17 areas for you to pop your paint into. And what I like to do is actually squeeze my tube paints into the wells and allow them to dry. So then I can reactivate them with water a little bit later on. And the reason why I do this is to stop me from wasting paint and using too much paint. So sometimes as a beginner, it is so easy to use too much paint when you're using tubes. So what I do is I just take my spray bottle and I'll just spray my paint and let it sit for a couple of seconds, and that sort of loosens the pigment and reactivates the paint, and you'll get a lovely pigmented paint by spraying your water and just leaving it, or putting a little puddle in with your paintbrush. Just put a little puddle of water in and allow the puddle to sit. It gives the water chance to work its way into the paint and loosen up the paint and the pigment, which is the colour within the paint. The reason why I love ceramic palettes so much is because the paint doesn't bead on the palette. If you've ever had a plastic palette, I'll show you what happens when you use a plastic palette. So the paint tends to bead on a plastic palette, and by beading I mean that the paint sort of disappears. So you can you see what happens when I pop the paint down onto the plastic? It kind of just disappears into nothing, and it's the most annoying thing in the world. So if you've got a plastic palette and you really can't afford a ceramic palette, or you just want to make use of your plastic palette, you can actually stop this from happening by sanding the palette down with a fine tooth sandpaper or a glue stick and allow it to dry. So apply a thin layer of the glue stick, allow it to dry, and honestly that's what I did with one of my old plastic palettes and it worked beautifully. But the reason why I love using ceramic palettes is that the paint doesn't bead. So if you can see, the paint actually just stays where it's put, and it is so easy to clean as well. Sometimes if my paint is still wet, I'll just take a clean tissue and I'll use that to clean it up, and a lot of the time that does a really good job. So can you see how easy that is to clean? Like, you do get a little bit of paint in the corners, but all you need to do is just take a paintbrush and sort of wiggle your paintbrush in the corner like this, and that actually removes the paint. So they're amazing to clean. You can see I'm just easily just cleaning it with a clean paintbrush. Look how easy that is to clean. I love them, honestly. It is a game changer. If you've not tried ceramic palettes before, it's a massive game changer, and I highly recommend getting a ceramic palette. Defo. I love this palette in particular for this large mixing area. So I mix most of my paints on this palette because it has got two big mixing areas and it's beautiful for mixing on. I can just mix one colour in this corner, and then if I wanted to keep my cools on this side, like my blues, I could use my blues on this side, and then I could use my pinks and my warm colours on this side. So I know that's not a warm colour, that's a permanent rose, it's a cool red, but I'm just saying that I can actually pop my reds and yellows on this side, and then if I wanted I could have my blues and my purples and my greens on this side. I also had a little lid with this, so I got this from Jackson's Art. I'll leave the link in the description box for you. I got the little lid with it, which is fab. It keeps the dust out. It's not leak proof, and it doesn't keep your paints like wet, but it does keep the dust out, or help to keep the dust out. These palettes are really heavy, so I was surprised actually by when I got this palette to how heavy it is. And it is breakable, so you do need to be really careful with a ceramic palette. This one I thought wasn't too badly priced. It is going to last a really long time, and like I said, I use it all the time, love it. You could get away with just having this one palette, but I'm just a little bit obsessed with art supplies. So of course I've got a few more, and I got this flower one from Jackson's Art as well, but you can get these on Amazon. So I will pop a little Amazon link down below for you as well, because you can get the same one. They are lovely quality, and I love the deep wells on these. So you can mix up quite a lot of paint in these because the wells are so deep. And this one has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different wells, which is amazing. You can see that I've just allowed my paint to dry on this because I don't like wasting paint. So what I've done is I can just reuse this now. But yeah, this is the reason why I've got so many ceramic palettes, because I like to let the paint dry and then I can reuse them then. I've also got these little stackable dishes. So I got these from Jackson's Art, and it did say it came in a set of 5, but accidentally I received an extra one, so I got 6 for some reason. And the reason why I got these is for my art tutorials, because I thought it would be really handy to actually show you what colours I'm mixing. I can just easily grab one of these, show you the colours, and I'm not having to lift this big heavy palette every time. So that's the reason why I bought these, but they are lovely. You could have a few on your table. You could maybe have like your greens, your blues, your yellows, and use them for all different colour mixes. And because it comes with a pack of 5, you've got so much versatility. So if you were working on a limited palette, you could use all 5 for different colour mixes in one painting. What am I trying to say? One painting. So I love that, and they are so amazing to clean. Pop them into the sink, give them a quick rinse, use some tissue or a cloth. So yeah, I love these. They're amazing quality and stackable. So they take up so little room. The diameter on these are 9.5 centimeters. So the diameter means if you put a line across the circle like this. If you don't want to go and splurge out on ceramic palettes, you could always go to your local supermarket and find a ceramic plate. I got this one from my local supermarket. I believe it was Morrison's, and it was really unaffordable. I think I paid about £4 for this. So it is lovely because you've got so much room to mix up your paints. And like I said, the reason why I've got so many of these ceramic things is because I don't like to waste paint, and I keep my paints on there so I can reuse them. So you can see I've got quite a lot of paints from a painting that I did, and I won't wash this now until like the paint is completely gone or nearly all gone. I hate wasting stuff, so I only washed this just to show you, so it was good for the tutorial. But if you would have seen it beforehand, you would have seen just so many mixes of paint where it was left dried on from previous paintings.